us about your tattoo.
Okay, so this actually has Meraki written in it.
Really?
So, yes.
Hey everyone, welcome to Sthiti's World. In this episode today, we are talking to Reshma, who is a communications coach and the head of the Meraki Hub. We talked to her about why it is important to be a good communicator, the impact communication can have on our personal and professional lives. We also talk about the most common mistakes that people do while communicating, which can actually impact their personal and professional lives. So make sure you watch this entire episode, hit the like and subscribe button, and enjoy the episode. Hey Reshma, welcome to Sthiti's World.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this podcast. You have a unique offering, and I was so excited that it's good to know and speak to somebody who is teaching to be a good communicator. So first of all, tell me, your Instagram ID says the Meraki Hub. What does Meraki mean?
So, Meraki, the word Meraki is a Greek word that talks about putting your love, your soul, your creativity into the work that you do. So, the idea is when you love something, you leave something of yourself in it, in the work that you do. And that's what the word Meraki means.
Okay, that is great. That is awesome. So tell me about yourself. Have you always been good at speaking? Is it something that comes to you naturally, or have you developed it over time?
I'm definitely the second kind, right? Like, I'm not a natural born speaker. I've been good at English, and that's mainly because my dad put me in a great school. But the fact of speaking, or I'm not the kind who is generally an extrovert who loves to speak to people, who wants to connect. I think that's an amazing quality to have, and some people are born with that. I was the one who had to work on it for years, push myself to become better at it, because there are things that I wanted to do that I realized that I wouldn't be able to do if I can't speak in front of people. And so I'm the second kind who has to push, and it's a challenge even till date, right, when you need to speak to people. So that's the category that I am.
It's the same with me as well. I was extremely shy as a kid. Hardly even answer if people asked me what was my name. I would run away. But eventually, when I reached graduation, I kind of developed a liking towards it, and I also felt like I like to have. I talk more on one-on-one. In a group, I'm quiet. Even now, I'm very quiet in a group. But one-on-one, I usually like to engage in a conversation with someone and speak about them. So that is also the intention of this podcast, which is coming out. You pick people, and people who I would love to speak to, and you speak to them, ask them questions which would benefit a whole lot of people as well. That was the intention behind this podcast as well. So I am on the same lines, a complete introvert person.
You wouldn't believe most of the people would actually come from that category, right? Like, there are tons of people for whom talking in a group is a difficult challenge, and the good thing is we are the majority. The ones who are naturally at it, they are the smaller segment.
Yeah, but it turns out that they are usually the most loved people when you're in a family gathering, because you need such people to keep the gathering engaged and active. They can talk to people of any type, any age, and you need such people to keep a family gathering active. So now that you are a communications coach, do you really enjoy speaking in public, and do you give speeches and encourage people about it? Do you enjoy public speaking?
I will still say, even to date, I've done so many public speaking situations. Like, I've been in so many public situations, but I've pushed myself to be the MC of my MCing of programs in college and at school. I've done quite a few things. Some that were forced onto me, some that I did by choice because I was pushing myself to do it. But even till date, for me, voluntarily asking to do something like that is a big question. I'll think about it a lot. So public speaking as such, as I said, because it doesn't come naturally, it's always a challenge. And I don't enjoy it, but I ensure that if I do a good job of it. That's what I focus on. It's not like that nervousness is going to go away, or it's like, your hands stop shaking.
Yeah, you always have butterflies in your stomach at the beginning of it. So what if you have you heard of Toastmasters International?
Yes.
You have heard, right? So I joined Toastmasters International around 6 to 7 years ago. I'm still an active member of the club, and being part of that club, it actually helped me to overcome some of these fears. And now, even though there are butterflies, I end up volunteering to speak. I'm not very nervous about it, and also it helped me speak impromptu. I can speak about, even if I do not know the topic, I can somehow I can come out off stage without making a joke of myself. So I've kind of
That's
developed
great.
that confidence, and I'm really grateful for that. What encouraged, being an introvert person and being forced to do public speaking, what encouraged you to go out and become a communications coach now?
So I think my family would say that ever since I was a kid, I've always used to play teacher. By myself. So I think that kind of just it's inbuilt in me, but I happened to come across training as more like something that just happened out of fun. I just got this opportunity to train fresh out of college. I got to go and train at a college on verbal ability and employability skills and things like that. And honestly, that's when I realized that this is what I want to do, irrespective. Like, though I did not have a proper job, I realized that the training was what I wanted to do even after I got a job, and that's how I got into training. So my idea was, even if it is a public gathering, if it's a public forum, in a session, it doesn't matter to me there, because I'm there to share that knowledge, and all that goes out the window. So I'm the kind of person who's like, in the session, I'm super interactive, I'm great, you wouldn't look at me and know that I'm nervous, but off the session, I would still be that quiet person who doesn't probably mingle too much with people. But I think it just, as a coach, it just brings out this necessity for me to speak to people and help people out. And so when people look at me, they get confused. Are you sure you're not an extrovert? You are a trainer. So why would you say you're not? But I think that's what it is at the end of the day.
So do you have a mentor for your speaking? Do you go to someone for guidance on speaking and getting coached for communication, or you learn it by yourself?
No. I entirely through practice, right from school. When the moment I decided that this is something I needed to do, I just went about it and figured it out. Honestly, once I got into coaching, I realized there are all these techniques that I've been just doing it myself, just off the hand, and now they actually have names. People call it a certain technique. So mine has entirely been more experiential in nature, learning by doing or by practice, and then figuring out, okay, there's a theory for it.
Okay. So all the communication techniques and everything, you learn it by yourself through books.
Absolutely. Books, watching people, just in general, watching videos, or trying to figure out what works best for me as such as a speaker as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, do you think now when you give sessions to students, do you think the communication patterns differ from student to student, or it differs on basis of? Okay. So you give the coaching as per that.
Yes. So when it comes to communication skills, everyone has a different challenge when it comes to communication skills. Everyone has different barriers or different fears that they are trying to get over. There are these beliefs that people are trying to get over, that misconceptions that they've been thinking day in and day out about themselves. So dealing with all of this is definitely more customized, but the approach to getting better at speaking in general is a general approach. But having said that, everyone has a different speaking style. They need to be able to identify what works for them. Something that works for one might not work for the other. And that is my job, to help them identify their style of speaking and what works and what is something that they can keep doing and enjoy doing it, for the rest of their life.
For the rest of their life, yeah. So what do you think are the most common misconceptions people have about public speaking or about communication in general? Because talking is different from communicating, right? They're two different things. So what do you think are the most common misconceptions people have?
So for me, there are multiple in general, but the one biggest misconception is that all speakers need to be public speakers. That's not a fact. For me, I don't believe in this fact. Just like how a person who learns to ride a bike does not have to learn to race, or just because I love jogging or running does not mean I'm going to become an athlete or a marathon runner. It's the same thing with speaking, but people don't realize that you can be a speaker but not a public speaker. But the first thing that happens is the minute people think about speaking, public speaking is what comes to mind, and that adds to people's fears, and then it just aggravates to that point that people think that, okay, I'm scared. The fear comes into the picture, and then they do not want to even try that aspect of just speaking normally. They forget that speaking can be just normal, just communicate effectively, and they immediately think that it has to be public speaking. So that does not have to be a goal for everyone, is my point. It's enough if you're able to communicate. It's enough if you're able to share your thoughts, your ideas, and ensure that the other person gets it, rather than trying to think of public speaking and say, oh no, this is scary for me, right? Yeah, that's the biggest misconception.
And also, speaking effectively is necessary everywhere, whether you're going for a job interview, whether you are conducting job interviews, whether you're a boss, whether you're an employee, whether you have your own business, everywhere. And even at home, if you're trying to make somebody understand what your point of view, it's important that you're able to communicate and put your words in the right manner, otherwise they will take you in the wrong way.
Definitely.
Right. Tell me 3 simple steps any random person can do to be a better speaker, to articulate his words in a better way and put his thoughts across freely.
Okay. So this is something that I came up with like while I was doing training, like a mantra of sorts, like whenever you speak loudly, slowly, clearly, and confidently. People think that confidence comes from doing a great job, but the idea is confidence comes from the fact that I'm going to do a good job, irrespective of what happens. I'm going to do a good job, right? So loudly, slowly, clearly, and confidently. People generally try to go too fast, so the idea is to speak slowly, speak loud enough that the other person, and when you're loud and slow, you're automatically clear, and that confidence needs to show in your voice. That's the energy. That's the first thing. Second thing that I would say is preparation. If it's an important conversation, preparation is key. Whoever it is that you're speaking to, whether you're going for an interview, whether you're conducting an interview, whether you are the boss or, as you said, the employee, whether you have your own business, whoever it is, or even at home for that matter, when the conversation is important, it is essential that you prepare, like you have an idea of what you're going to speak. And if you have a challenge with fluency, third step, practice. Practice as much as you can, because practice is not by hearting or just learning, writing a script and learning it out. Practicing is just saying it out loud once or twice before you get there. So people who say that I get stuck, I don't know what to say next, and then I have these fillers that I don't, all this is happening because you're not ready for it, you're not prepared for it. And just being prepared will help you a long way, especially if it's an important conversation.
So if in my case, it turns out that, usually when you are in a Toastmasters meeting and after the meeting, we get together and we talk about each other. So I would generally be lost. I don't know what to speak. But eventually I noticed a pattern that people usually ask about, sometimes some personal stuff about family, and sometimes about job, and sometimes in general we discuss about what happened at the meeting, who you liked, what you liked. So I identified those patterns just by observation, and I implemented them everywhere in my life. So if there are guests at home or in a workplace environment or anywhere where there's a gathering and where there are not a lot of chatty people. If there are chatty people, then you just have to listen. But when there are not a lot of chatty people, if you feel like the group is going quiet and you need to, do something to keep it active and engaging, then I start implementing those. I ask about job, I ask about your interests. So that has kind of become like my go-to conversation starters everywhere. So because we came upon that, I want to ask you, is there anything else that we can prepare or keep as a go-to conversation starter, something apart from family and job? Anything that we can start about in a conversation in a group?
Got it. So conversation starters in general could be anything that both let's say for example, if you know the people, then you will have common topics of areas of interest. That is definitely a case. But let's say it's a newer group and they are newer people, it's good to ease into by talking about things that they're comfortable speaking, so you can open up a conversation. So you can start with family, you can start with job, their career, basic things, and once you get to know the person a little bit more, you can dive deeper into their ideologies, what they think of things that are happening around you, recent events. So you get to know the person at a deeper level. When you do that digging a bit deeper, you can get to know what are their interests, ask them about it. But I have always noticed that the key to this is being a good listener. It's not just speaking. You need to be a good listener, because you can't keep just asking questions just for the sake of asking questions. You actually should want to know that person, and that the key is you need to listen to that person, because when you listen, you will actually know what to ask next. You will know how to take the conversation next. You will not need a list of prepared questions to ask in advance, because the conversation goes in a natural flow. Right, like how this came to you as a point, because it goes in a natural flow. You do not need to always come with questions prepared, but it's good to know, like you said, in situations where it's required, that you know how you can lead into it. So these are good leading questions that you have to dig deep or to reflect. You can always ask questions about what they think about a specific scenario. So that will let you know, give you more insight into that person.
Okay. Yeah, that I think is a great tip for every communication, that you have to be a good listener, and it is going to be the highlight of our talk today. Why is it important to be a good listener? So I came across this thing called as Talk Shop on your Instagram page. So tell us more about Talk Shop. It seemed very interesting.
So Talk Shop is like the baby stage right now for me, very close to my heart. Talk Shop is a program that I am building. We have a current batch running, a pilot batch that's running. Talk Shop is a group coaching program that I'm working on. That's to help people from all situations, like whatever background, whether they are employed, whether they have their own business, whether they're a consultant, whether they are looking to get employed as well. And we have a mix of all of them in the current batch. The idea is everyone has a common goal to become a better speaker. And that's what Talk Shop is going to help you with. It's not a course. It's not just online content that's given to you and said, go do it. The idea is speaking is a skill and that needs practice. And that's what I'm there to help people with. So it's a program that has live sessions, practice sessions. And through the course of 2 months, it's to help you to become a better speaker and communicate effectively at the end of it. And that's what Talk Shop is all about.
That is great. So for anybody who joins your program, they just get to speak to live audience, and it will help them build the confidence, and they're going to end up being better speakers at the end of the show. True. It's a great program, by the way. It's very interesting.
Thank you.
What are your future goals? Like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, or what have you thought about the future of Talk Shop, or the future of where you want to be in the next 5 years?
I see, if you'd asked me like even 6 months ago that what I would do, I probably wouldn't have told you the same things, because I think I've evolved so much has happened over the last 6 months. I was able to set my business up, and I'm planning to go full time with it. The idea is to help as many people as possible. Like I said, being a teacher or a trainer or a coach is something that comes inbuilt, right? As an enabler, I feel that something as simple as communication or ineffective communication should not hamper people's lives in terms of not letting them achieve the dream jobs or do the things that they wish to do and showcase their full potential just because of not being a good speaker. And that is what I want to do, help as much people as possible to be able to do that. And every time a person who's gone through a program, who's done coaching with me, makes a difference, sees a transformation in the way they are speaking, it makes me extremely happy. And that's like a win for me. It's more than the numbers, it's seeing the transformation in people. So I would say in 5 years, that means I would want to be able to help that many people become better at this. Right. You and I are having a great conversation, and I would love for people everywhere, whoever I help, to be able to do something like that and not feel scared about it. Just be comfortable talking to people and getting to know people and doing a good job of it.
Yeah, we have been around humans like almost all our lives, and yet speaking to humans seems to be like such a difficult thing to do.
Exactly.
It's quite a contradictory thing, you know. You wonder it's easier. Sometimes some people are more comfortable in connecting with dogs and cats, and yet when it comes to speaking to people, uh, they go. They get confused and they're scared. It's very a strange thing sometimes. Because you're an introvert, I have to ask you, the most of the introverts I come across, they are all love reading books. Are you also like that? Do you love reading?
Absolutely, absolutely. I love to read. I'm not a non-fiction. I'm just getting into non-fiction like recently, but I love to read. I actually read very fast. Like people generally get really surprised that I can read a big book in like couple of hours and I'll be done with the book. And I would do multiple books in the course of. So I'm the kind of person, if I get into it, then I'm reading everything by that author. So I don't have like a favorite book, but what I love books by certain authors and I will read whatever they've written. I'm that kind of a voracious reader. I find one, I'll read everything.
Favorite author as a
There's so many.
There's so many.
But there's so many like different genres, right? I read romance, I read fiction, I read thrillers and crime related. So I have like there are great authors across, but over the last few years, at least one author that I've really enjoyed reading, Cecilia Ahern. Her books are extremely interesting, very differently written. They are fiction, but it's the kind of like wishful, it makes you think as well in a nice sort of way. It's not too thought-provoking, but it's very nice to just read her books. It gives a good feeling kind of. Her books I definitely enjoy.
Okay, great. So, is there any book or any person who has, inspired you and led you to make drastic changes in terms of perspective in your life or changed the way you think? Any one like that?
I would say I'd like to get influenced by generally so many people. There are each and every person whom I come across has something amazing about themselves. Everyone is good at a certain thing. And I think though I don't tell them out loud that you are great at this, maybe I should do more of that. But there are things that I think I've picked up over the course of years, looking at my family, friends, and things that they are great at, and tried how can I get this in myself, like, and maybe consciously, unconsciously have built some things over the years. I can't probably pinpoint it to one particular person who's inspired me. As I said, for me, this is a challenge, right? Picking one is always a challenge. So it's like a combination of multiple things. But I would say the book by Cecilia Ahern, The Gift. The book is called The Gift, and actually that made a big change. I was at like the very beginning of my career when I was thinking, should I go back into training or should I just be like a 9 to 5 engineer, software engineer, and stay at that job? And so the book kind of got me started, and then people around me, I kept talking, everyone was supportive and they understood my need to be able to become a trainer, though it was not a very steady job, it was freelance. And that was the biggest turning point, I would say, at least from a book perspective. But there have been so many people, like in my family itself, there are people who are amazing in what they do. The way they have done this for a lot of other people in the family as well, starting from my grandfathers. It's just amazing to see things, and there's something to learn from everyone. And though I probably don't say it to them, I should, but absolutely anyone you meet can be inspiring, and there's something that you can learn from in everyone that you meet.
Yeah, I believe that the personality as individuals that we have developed, it is actually an amalgamation of all the people that we meet in our lives, and what we observe from them, what we learned, what we picked up from them, and it actually shapes us. It's even when nurturing kids, because I have a son, it keeps going in my mind that it's important that he meets different kinds of people with different qualities, and he learns good and the bad, what is right and the wrong, and he learns to pick the right things and imbibe in himself. And every one of us should do that, right?
That's a very great way to look at it, to be honest. If you only meet people whom you like or are like you kind of align to, then you're only learning the same things. Unless you get to meet others, you get to meet a wide variety of folks, you get different perspectives, then you don't grow as a person as well. Absolutely.
Tell us about your tattoo.
Okay, so this actually has Meraki written in it. So yes. So it actually says Meraki. Yeah, it's not very like clear, but it's got Meraki written in it. So this word has been with me for a pretty long time, right? Like the minute I saw this word, it kind of just pushed me. And when I decided to get a first tattoo, I got Meraki, and it made so much sense to me in general, because when I train, or when I, in general, the work that I do, the kind of training that I do, I love doing it. I put a lot into it. And it's been like this ever since I started it. So it just kind of made sense. The word clicked.
So
and
when did you get the tattoo done?
This was in 2017, I believe. 2016-17. That's when I got this tattoo.
Great. So it's really nice that you have. I just saw the tattoo. It looks interesting, and I thought I'll ask you about it. But it's really great. You actually have your brand in your hands. How powerful is that? You can use it to show in your sessions. It's so powerful. Such a powerful message.
I think I think it was a no-brainer that I had to use this word for the name of my business. It just had to be this word. It was nothing else. Though I was trying, but this was the word that had to be.
Well, that is wonderful, Reshma. Wonderful. So it has been wonderful chatting with you. I'm so glad you agreed to be part of my podcast, irrespective of your busy schedule today. I'm sure we could have another talk only about communication, some tips about communication, and some great things on communication down the line. But for now, we will end this podcast. It has been amazing to have you as a guest. I'm sure the people are going to love this podcast episode.
Thank you so much. It was my first experience doing something like this, and definitely I feel very comfortable because it was like a very conversational kind of thing. Definitely enjoyed talking to you. I got to know you more as well, and it's been an amazing experience, and I would love to do it again where we could dig deeper into certain aspects, but it's been an amazing conversation today.
Yes, thank you so much, Reshma.